Hey, my cutie patooties. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're feeling good, maybe relaxed somewhere, maybe walking outside, maybe just sitting quietly with your headphones on. I'm really happy you're here again, spending a little bit of your time with us.
Yeah, it's always nice imagining people from different parts of the world listening to the same conversation and improving their English little by little.
Exactly. And before we begin, let's quickly remind everyone what this podcast is about. This is a place where you learn real English through real conversations, not through boring textbook sentences that nobody actually says in real life.
hmm And our episodes are designed for B1 level learners, which means the English is clear, natural, and easy enough to follow while still helping you grow your vocabulary.
Right. And if we say a word that feels a little difficult or unfamiliar, don't worry. Jacob will jump in and explain the meaning so you can understand it immediately.
Yeah, because when you understand the meaning right away, your brain remembers the word much better.
Exactly. So today we're going to talk about something that everyone experiences, but not everyone knows how to describe in English.
hmm Today's topic is how to talk about mood swings in English.
And this is actually a very interesting topic because emotions are a huge part of our daily life. Some days you wake up feeling calm, positive, and motivated, and other days your mood changes quickly and you don't even know why.
Yeah, and that sudden emotional change is exactly what we call a mood swing. Mood swing means a sudden change in someone's emotional state. For example, someone might feel happy and energetic one moment and then suddenly feel sad, irritated, or tired shortly after.
Exactly. And mood swings are actually very normal. Everyone experiences them from time to time.
But many English learners don't know how to describe their emotions clearly. Describe means to explain something using words so other people can understand it.
Right. Sometimes people say very simple sentences like, I feel bad or I feel strange. But English actually has many more natural ways to explain what you're feeling.
Yeah, and when you learn these expressions, your English becomes more expressive. Expressive means able to show thoughts, feelings, or emotions clearly.
Exactly. Because language is not only about grammar or vocabulary, it's also about communicating your emotions in a natural way.
And emotions are something we talk about every single day. For example, you might say, I'm in a good mood today, or you might say, I woke up feeling a little irritated this morning.
And those small sentences already show your emotional state very clearly.
Yeah, and emotional state is another useful phrase. Emotional state simply means the way someone is feeling at a particular moment. For example, someone might be calm, stressed, excited, anxious, or relaxed.
Exactly. And sometimes our emotional state changes very quickly during the day. Maybe you start the day feeling energetic, then something stressful happens at work, and suddenly your mood drops.
hmm And that kind of change is very common in modern life because people deal with a lot of pressure.
That's true. Work pressure, family responsibilities, social media, lack of sleep, all these things can affect how we feel emotionally.
Yeah, and affect is another word we should explain. Affect means to influence something or change it in some way. For example, lack of sleep can affect your mood.
Exactly. When you don't sleep well, your patience becomes shorter and your emotions become more sensitive.
hmm And sensitive in this context means your emotions react more easily. If someone is emotionally sensitive, small things can change their mood quickly.
And that's actually why learning to talk about your emotions is so important. When you can describe what you're feeling, it becomes easier to understand yourself and communicate with others.
Yeah, because sometimes people misunderstand each other simply because they cannot explain their feelings clearly.
Exactly. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What's wrong?" and you just say, "Nothing." But inside, you're feeling stressed, tired, and overwhelmed.
And overwhelmed is a really useful word here. Overwhelmed means feeling like you have too many emotions, problems, or responsibilities at the same time. When someone is overwhelmed, they often feel mentally exhausted.
Exactly. And that's why emotional vocabulary is actually very important in daily conversations. It helps you explain what's happening inside your mind.
Yeah, and the more emotional vocabulary you know, the easier it becomes to communicate with friends, coworkers, and family members.
So, in today's episode, we're going to do three things together. First, we'll talk about common phrases people use to describe mood swings. Second, we'll look at some useful emotional vocabulary that will make your English sound more natural.
Mm-hmm. And third, we'll practice how to use these expressions in real-life conversations.
Exactly, because being able to express emotions clearly is a huge part of becoming fluent in English.
Yeah, and it also helps you sound more confident and natural when talking to people.
So let's start with a simple question. Had you ever had a day where your mood changes many times without any clear reason?
Mm-hmm. I think almost everyone has experienced that.
Exactly. One moment you feel calm, the next moment you feel irritated, then suddenly you feel quiet and thoughtful.
Yeah, and those emotional changes are exactly what we call mood swings. Remember, a mood swing is a sudden change in someone's emotional state within a short period of time. And understanding how to talk about these emotional changes will make your English conversations much more natural.
So let's start with something very simple. Imagine you wake up in the morning feeling completely fine. Your day begins normally, you make your coffee, maybe you check your phone, maybe you start working. But then suddenly something small happens and your mood changes quickly.
Yeah, that happens to people all the time. And when someone's mood changes quickly like that, we describe it as a mood shift. Mood shift means a change in how someone feels emotionally. It doesn't always mean a big dramatic change. Sometimes it's just a small emotional movement from calm to irritated or from happy to quiet.
Exactly. And sometimes the change can happen because of something very small. Maybe someone says something that annoys you, maybe you read a message that makes you worried, maybe you suddenly remember something stressful.
Uh-huh. And annoyed is another very useful emotional word. Annoyed means feeling slightly angry or irritated because something is bothering you repeatedly.
Yes, and annoyed is actually a very common emotion in daily life. It's not strong anger, but it's still uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's an important point. In English, we have many different words for different levels of emotion.
Exactly. For example, if you feel a little uncomfortable or slightly upset, you might say, I'm a bit annoyed today. But if the feeling becomes stronger, you might say, I'm really irritated today.
Uh-huh. And irritated is similar to annoyed, but usually a little stronger. Irritated means feeling impatient or slightly angry because something is bothering you repeatedly.
Right. And sometimes mood swings happen because of stress. You might start the day feeling positive, but if your work becomes overwhelming, your mood slowly changes.
Yeah, and stress is something everyone talks about. Stress is the mental or emotional pressure people feel when they have too many responsibilities or problems. For example, deadlines at work or exams at school can create stress.
Exactly. And stress often affects our patience. You might normally be calm, but when you're stressed, even small problems feel bigger.
Uh-huh. And patience is another good word to know. Patience means the ability to stay calm while dealing with difficult situations or delays. When someone loses patience, they become frustrated more quickly.
That's true. And frustration is another emotion people feel during mood swings.
Yeah, and frustration is very common. Frustration means feeling upset or annoyed because something is not working the way you want. For example, if your computer stops working while you're trying to finish an important task, you might feel frustrated.
Exactly. And when frustration builds up during the day, it can easily change your mood. You might start feeling tired, quiet, or emotionally drained.
Uh-huh. And drained is an interesting word here. Drained means feeling completely tired, especially mentally or emotionally. It's the kind of tired where you feel like you have no energy left.
Yes, and that feeling is very common after a long, stressful day. Sometimes people say things like, I feel emotionally drained today.
Yeah, and that sentence sounds very natural in English. It clearly shows that the person's mood has changed because they are mentally exhausted.
Exactly. But mood swings are not always negative. Sometimes your mood can suddenly improve. Maybe you hear good news, talk to a friend, or listen to music you like.
Uh-huh. And that's when your mood becomes uplifted. Uplifted means feeling happier, lighter, or more positive than before. For example, a good conversation with a friend can uplift your mood.
Right. And that's something interesting about emotions. They can move very quickly. You might feel stressed one moment, but something positive happens, and suddenly you feel relaxed again.
Yeah, and relaxed means feeling calm and free from stress. When someone is relaxed, their mind and body feel comfortable and peaceful.
Exactly. And these emotional changes are part of normal human experience. The important thing is learning how to talk about them clearly.
Uh-huh. Because when you can explain your emotions properly, people understand you better. For example, instead of saying, I feel bad, you might say, I'm feeling a little stressed today, or I'm feeling emotionally drained.
Right. And those sentences sound much more natural and specific.
Yeah, and specific is another helpful word. Specific means clear and detailed, not general or vague. When you use specific emotional words, people understand exactly how you feel.
Exactly. And learning these emotional words is one of the best ways to improve your conversational English because emotions appear in conversations every day.
Uh-huh. People talk about their feelings at work, with friends, in relationships, and even in small daily conversations.
Yes, someone might say, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed today, or I woke up in a really good mood.
Yeah, and overwhelmed is another word we should explain again. Overwhelmed means feeling like you have too many emotions, problems, or responsibilities at the same time. When someone is overwhelmed, they may feel stressed, confused, or emotionally tired.
Exactly. And when you understand these emotional words, you can describe mood swings in a much more natural and confident way.
Uh-huh. And that's exactly what we want for our listeners. Not just understanding English, but being able to express their emotions clearly in real conversations.
Because when you can describe how you feel, your communication becomes much more real and meaningful.
Yeah, and that's a big step towards sounding natural and fluent in English.
So, now that we've talked about mood swings, emotional vocabulary, and how our feelings can change during the day, let's bring everything together in a simple way. Because the goal of this episode was not only to learn new words, but also to feel more comfortable talking about emotions in English.
Yeah, and emotions are actually a huge part of everyday conversation. People don't only talk about work, school, or daily tasks, they also talk about how they feel.
Exactly. A friend might ask you, how are you feeling today? And instead of giving a short answer like, I'm fine, you can explain your emotional state more clearly.
Mm-hmm. And emotional state is a phrase we used earlier. Emotional state simply means the way someone is feeling at a specific moment. For example, someone might feel calm, stressed, excited, tired, or frustrated.
Right. And when you can describe your emotional state clearly, your English sounds more natural and more personal.
Because language becomes more meaningful when you can explain what's happening inside your mind.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying something simple like, I feel strange today, you might say, my mood has been changing a lot today, or I think I'm having some mood swings today.
hmm And that sentence sounds very natural in everyday English.
Yes, and sometimes people also explain the reason behind their mood. For example, I think I'm feeling stressed because I didn't sleep well last night, or I've been feeling emotionally drained after a long week.
Yeah, and emotionally drained is a very useful expression. Emotionally drained means feeling mentally and emotionally exhausted. It's the kind of tired that comes from dealing with stress, pressure, or strong emotions.
Exactly. And many people experience that feeling after busy days or difficult situations.
hmm And the important thing is understanding that mood swings are actually very normal. Everyone experiences emotional changes sometimes.
Right. Emotions are not always stable. Some days you feel calm and positive, and other days your mood might change more often.
Yeah, and stable is another useful word. Stable means something stays steady and does not change suddenly. When someone's emotions are stable, their mood stays calm and balanced.
Exactly. But when someone experiences mood swings, their emotional state moves more quickly between different feelings.
hmm And learning how to describe those emotional changes makes your English conversations much richer.
Yes, because emotional vocabulary helps you explain your experiences clearly. Instead of simple sentences like, I feel bad, you can say things like, I feel a little overwhelmed today, or I'm feeling a bit irritated today.
Yeah, and those words make a big difference in communication.
Exactly. And communication is not only about grammar or pronunciation, it's about expressing your thoughts and feelings in a way other people understand.
Mm-hmm. And the more emotional vocabulary you learn, the easier it becomes to explain your mood.
Right. And that's why conversations like this are helpful. You hear natural expressions that people actually use in real life.
Yeah, because textbooks often teach formal sentences, but real conversations are more emotional and personal.
Exactly. And that's what we try to bring to you here on Fluent English with Us, real conversations that help you feel more comfortable using English in daily life.
Mm-hmm. And if you listened carefully today, you probably learned several useful words like mood swing, annoyed, frustrated, overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and many others.
Right. And the best way to remember new vocabulary is to start using it. For example, you could practice sentences like, my mood has been changing a lot today, or I feel a little overwhelmed after work.
Yeah, even simple sentences like those can make your English sound more natural and expressive.
Exactly. And remember, learning a language is not about being perfect, it's about communicating clearly and confidently.
Mm-hmm. And confidence grows slowly when you keep practicing and exposing yourself to natural English conversations.
Right. So if you want to improve your listening and speaking skills, try listening to conversations like this regularly.
Yeah, and you can also repeat some of the sentences out loud to practice your pronunciation and emotional expression.
Exactly. That small habit can make a big difference over time.
Because language learning is really about consistency. Consistency means doing something regularly over time instead of only once in a while. When you practice consistently, your English improves naturally.
Exactly. So keep listening, keep practicing, and most importantly, don't be afraid to express your emotions in English.
Yeah, because emotions are part of every conversation, and learning how to talk about them makes you a stronger communicator.
Thank you for spending this time with us here on Fluent English with Us.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, you can support the podcast by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who is also learning English.
And before we go, we'd love to hear from you. What kind of mood are you in today?
Yeah, you can write your answer in the comments. It's a great way to practice your English.
Take care of yourself.
And keep improving your English.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.